Hello and a very warm welcome to Curiosity Hive. I hope you all are doing well. In today's video, we are going to discuss Southeast Asian Mathematical Olympiad questions for Class 4. And we are going to take the subject of speed. So we will tackle the questions on this subject, and the questions that are coming to you are from the Singapore Maths curriculum, which is known to emphasize for its critical thinking. These questions are a little tough, but with regular practice and clear understanding, we can tackle them easily. So without any delay, let's get started with the Southeast Asia Mathematical Olympiad on the subject of speed, and this is going to be beneficial for both Class 4 and Class 5. So I urge you to watch this video till the very end. And yes, I'm going to explain a few questions, and in between I will also quiz you with few more. So let's see how you're able to solve them, and as you solve them, send in your answers in the comment section below. Well, I have also given the answers to those questions in my description box. If you have any queries, please reach out to me at funlearningcoach@gmail.com. So, without any delay, let's get started.
So let's start with our time, distance and speed related questions for the class 4. And remember, this is from the Singapore Maths curriculum looking at the Southeast Asia Olympiad questions. Now here we are going to tackle 10 to time and distance problems on car or a man moving or an object moving. And there are specific type of questions which are problems on trains. And the third category in the time, distance, speed are boats, which is upstream and downstream against the current of the water. Now we are not going to look at the boats queries. We are just going to solve the first two items in our video today. Now before we start, we have to remember or revise the main formula of speed, distance and time. Now speed is distance upon time. You must be knowing this, but a way to check this is by units. Now the unit of speed is meter per seconds. Distance is meter, that's the unit for distance, and time, the unit is seconds. It can be minutes, etc. But at the moment I'm taking the standard units. So you can make out that this equation holds good for the unit of speed. Coming to the next one, the other two equations can be formed by just moving the items around in the first equation. So for example, the second one, which is distance, that is this, is speed into time. So what we do here is we are just moving time to the other side of the equation. And remember, whenever we move an item from one side of equation to other side, that is from the right hand side to left hand side, or otherwise, the sign, which is division, becomes multiplication, addition becomes subtraction, so on and so forth, and also vice versa. So that is how we get distance is speed into time. Again, let's verify with the unit. Speed is meter per seconds times time, which is seconds. Now this is nothing but meter times second by second. When we can get rid of second and we are left with meters, which is the unit for distance. And now the last one, which is in terms of time, this also we can get by simply moving the items in the first equation. So how we do is, we keep the time onto the left hand side. So the time, which is the denominator, becomes the numerator and speed comes here. So that is how we get time is distance upon speed. Let's again check with the units. Now distance is meter and speed is meter per seconds. That means it's meter divided by meter per seconds. Now when we want to multiply, now when it is division, that means this is meter multiplied by the reciprocal, which is seconds by meter, and this will give us the answer of seconds, which is actually the unit of time. So this is how we validate these three equations. Now is our time to apply them in the sums that I'm going to share with you. Now, before we start with the questions, I just want to let you know the pattern in which we are going to solve this. So, we are going to explain two questions of a similar type, and the third question will be completely on you to solve and then match the answer which is given in the description box, or you can reply me with your answer in the comment section below. So, let's start the first question, which is on problem of train. So, we are going to look at problem of trains first. The question reads, a train which is 200-meter long travels at a speed of 20 meters per second. How long does it take to pass the bridge that is 1200-meter long? So this is the question. So now, how long does it take to pass a bridge? That means the time taken when the train is in this position. That means it has completely come out of the bridge. So the distance that we need to measure is from the start of the bridge till the start of the train in this position, and this distance is distance of the bridge plus distance of the train, which is 1200 plus 200 meters. So this gives us our total distance. So the total distance is 1400 meters. Now we'll take note of our next parameter, which is the speed, which is given to be 20 meters per second. So now we note the distance and speed. So the time, well, the time is distance upon speed as we saw earlier, and here we'll replace distance with 1400 meter and speed with 20 meter per second, and that will give us the answer to be 70 seconds. So that's the right answer for this question. Let's go to the next question. Here it reads, a train takes 27 seconds to cross a bridge 420-meter long. It takes 30 seconds to pass through a tunnel 480-meter long at the same speed. There are two questions asked. First is what is the speed of the train, and second is what is the length of the train. So keeping in note, let me write in the formulas first so that it's easier for us to do the solving. Now let's take the first item, which is 27 seconds it takes to cross the bridge, which is 420-meter long. So the total time is 27 seconds for this item, and the distance, as I said in the earlier, would be length of the bridge plus length of the train. Now we don't know length of the train, so let's call it L. So our total distance is 420 meter plus L, and now that we need to find the speed, which will be the distance upon time, which is 420 plus L upon 27 seconds. So this is the equation that we are using. Now let's look at the second part of the question, which says it takes 30 seconds to pass through a tunnel of 480 meter of length at the same speed. So for this section, the values that are known to us is that the total time is 30 seconds and the total distance, which is the length of the tunnel and length of the train again here. So we know the length of the tunnel. So our total distance will be 480 meters plus L. Now L is the unknown length of train. Now with this, we also know that the speed is 480 L divided by 30. That is distance upon time. So now I have the speed which is showing me two values. So what I can do is I can write this as 420 plus L divided by 27 is equal to 480 plus L divided by 30. Now both the denominators I can reduce. So the common factor here is 3. So 3 times 9 is 27. 3 times 10 is 30. Now I will just cross multiply this value. Now as this is an equation, I will move this side and this side. So the sign will change. So I will have 10L minus 9L is equal to 4320 minus 4200. So my length of my train is equal to 120 meters. So this is the length of my train. Now the speed of my train, well, I only need to replace this in one of these equations. Let me replace it here. So my speed, I'm replacing in this equation is equal to 480 plus 120 divided by 30. So this is equal to 600 divided by 30, which is 20 meters per second. So I have the speed and I have the length of the train. I hope you have understood this, because now it's your time to solve the next question. Take your time, get your answer and share it with me. Pause the video if you need more time to solve this question. So I hope you've applied your learnings to this sum and then got the right answer. Well, we'll check at the end of the video. Let's go to the next kind of questions, again in the trains category. This question reads, two trains of length 160 meter and 120 meter travel at 12 meter per second and 16 meter per second respectively. Now, how many seconds will the two trains take to pass each other completely? Now, these are very commonly asked questions in terms of train lengths and distances and speed. So here you should take note of two very important points that will help you. First is, when two objects are moving in opposite directions, combined speed is sum of the speeds of the object. So whenever these are in opposite direction, you should add their speeds to get the combined speeds. And the next point is that when two objects are moving in the same direction, combined speed is the difference in the speed of the objects. So when there are two trains moving in this direction, and if the question is asked how much does train A take to surpass train B, well, the combined speed would be the difference in the two speeds. So with that, now these are oppositely directed trains. So let's first find the total distance, which is the length of both 160 plus 120, which is equal to 280 meters. And then we should find the combined speed, which, as I told you, is the sum of the two speeds, which is 12 and 16, which is equal to 28 meter per seconds. And now, if we want to find what is the time taken for the two trains to completely pass each other, means this reaches here, the last compartment, well, that will be equal to 280 meters upon 28 meters per second, the distance upon speed, which is equal to 10 seconds. So our right answer is 10 seconds. Let's go to our next question and let's see what this has. Now, two trains of length 224 meter and 280 meter were traveling towards each other. It took the longer but slower train 10 seconds to pass the driver of the faster train completely. So the longer train is the slower train and the shorter train is the faster train. Let's call it F, and the other one is S, which is the slower train. So in the information that is given, what is given to us is that the slower train passes the driver of the faster train in 10 seconds completely. And what they are asking us is, how long did it take for the faster train to pass the driver of the slower train? Now, in the first information given about passing the driver of the faster train, well, the total distance here would be the distance of the slower train. And this driver is just a single entity, so we would not have really any length or any distance for this. So the total distance would be just the length of the slower train, which is 280 meters. And then we also have this information that the total time to pass the fast train driver is 10 seconds. So with this, we can actually find the speed, and the speed that we find would be the combined speed of the faster and slower train, because the driver has the same speed as that of the faster train. So this combined speed would be total distance upon the time, which is equal to 28 meter per second. So this is my combined speed. Now let's find the next part, which is the question asked. Now here we need to find out how long did it take for faster train to pass the driver of the slower train. So in this case, the total distance would be the length of the faster train, which is 224 meter. Now remember, the speed would be the combined speed of slower and faster train, because this driver is also moving with the speed of that of the slower train. So the combined speed we already know, is 28 meters per second, what we have found here. Now we need to find the total time, which would be the distance divided by the speed, which is 224 divided by 28, which is equal to 8 seconds. So that is your right answer. Well, with that, now we'll go to another question that was coming straight at you. Try to apply the tips and the learnings in the previous two questions and solve this. Pause the video if you need more time to solve, and we'll check the answer at the end of the video.
Okay, well, now we have come to the last leg of our solving of these kind of travel questions, distance, speed, time. So let's read this. Now this says, a lorry traveled from town A to town B. A van traveled from town B to town A at the same time. They met 10 km from the middle of the journey as shown below. Find the distance between town A and town B if the lorry and van traveled at these speeds. Well, if you want, pause the video and try to solve it. Now, since the lorry and the van started at the same time, they would have reached here also at the same time. So the time taken to cover this distance by the lorry is same as the time taken to cover this distance by the van. So time taken is d by 2 plus 10. So this is the distance divided by the speed, which is 65. And the other time, which is also same, is the time taken by the van to come to this meeting point. So this meeting point is again midway, minus 10 for it. So it will be d by 2 minus 10 divided by 60. That is the speed. Now both of them are same. So let's solve this. So this becomes d by 2 plus 10 divided by 65, which is equal to d by 2 minus 10 divided by 60. Now if we divide by 5, so this is 13 and this is 12. I've reduced it, and now I will move it here. I'll cross multiply and make it a linear equation. So 12 times d by 2 plus 120 is equal to 13 times d by 2 minus 130. So if I move 130 this side, so I am left with 120 plus 130 is equal to 13 d by 2 minus 12 d by 2. Correct? So 13 minus 12 d by 2. Now this is same, so we can just consider this. So we can just subtract 13 with 12. So what we are left is that d by 2 is equal to 250. So d by 2, that means midway. So my distance is equal to 250 times 2, which is equal to 500 kilometers. So this is how we solve this distance and time problem, because here the time again is the same. So all we need to find is the two equations of time and then solve them together. Let's take a look at another question of this type. Now town A and town B are 720 km apart. So I have A to B, which is 720 km apart. Car A travels from town A to town B at the speed of 90 km per hour. And then there is car B, which travels towards town A from town B at the speed of, so let me call it SB, at 80 km per hour. So now they are asking how many hours must car B start traveling before car A, so that the two cars meet halfway. Okay, so let's wait for car B. So that means car B has started traveling before car A. So let's wait for that. Now this means the distance traveled is the same by the two, but the times are different. So this distance is be 720 by 2. So the distance equal to 360 km. And
So speed of A is also known. So that means the time taken by car A to reach the midway is 360 divided by 90, which is equal to 4 hours. Now, in 4 hours, how much would be the distance covered by B? So, distance covered by B would be speed B into 4 hours, which is equal to 80 into 4, which is 320. So, that means in 4 hours, it would have covered 320. But the total distance to be covered, total distance to reach midway is equal to 360 minus 320, which is equal to how much? 40. Now to cover this 40 kilometers, how much time does it need? Well, the time to cover 40 kilometer is equal to the distance, which is 40 kilometer, divided by the speed of car B, which is 80, which will be equal to half. So that means car B should travel half an hour before car A. It should start at this time so that they meet midway here at the same time. So this is our answer. Well, there's a little twist to it, but very interesting to solve this. Now with this learning, I'll leave you with the next question. Read this and then try to solve this. Now here we are finding out what is the distance between the two towns, and we have speed of both of these vehicles. So read this, solve the answer, and then match it with the answer given in description box. If you don't get this answer, please drop in a comment or send me an email and I will explain it to you.
Well, if you need more practice, I would recommend this book to you, which is the Southeast Asian Mathematical Olympiad Practice Questions presented by the Singapore Asia Education, set up by Mr. Terry Chew. There are some really interesting questions which will tickle your brain cells and make you think, analyze, and then come to the right solution. I hope this was a beneficial session for you. For any queries or suggestions, you know where to reach us. These are our social media handles. Till we meet again, take care.